Tonight I have the opportunity to present the annual State of the City address or report. I'll try to give you a brief overview. This report will be placed on the city's web, probably tomorrow, Terry? And so you can read it in more detail. But what I wanted to do is kind of hit the highlights of 2013 as opposed to going through a lot of boring data. I would say by any measurement, the City of Hot Springs had a great year in 2013, and I'll try to illustrate that as we go through the highlights of the report. By the way, Terry Roberts and Lance Spicer, Bill Burrow, and others helped put this together, and I think it's very well done, very professional. One of the measuring sticks that's typically used in evaluating the health of a city, whether it's done well or poorly, are leading economic indicators. And one of the indicators that's very important to this city is the growth or non-growth or negative growth of the local sales tax. We get about $17 million of our general fund from one revenue source, which means we are highly tied to what happens in this community relative to retail consumption, tourist trades, and so we have to watch that very closely here. We had projected about a 1% growth in the sales tax for 2013. We actually came in through November for the year right at 2.7%. So we were able to beat our projections, which is good. The second slide really addresses something that gets a lot of play in the media. Does the City of Hot Springs debt finance its operations like the federal government does, like states are prohibited from doing? Same with cities. The answer is no. We have a mandated cash balance that this board has put into place, that we have to have an 18% cash balance ending the year. This bar graph shows that in 2013, we actually finished higher in our general fund balance than the year before, which suggests the surge in the economy plus good fiscal management by my department heads and employees. As I mentioned, out of the total sales tax you pay, which is right now 9.5%, 1.5 of that goes to the City of Hot Springs. That is divided up between the 1% allocation to the general fund, which is the fund that finances parks and recreation, police, fire, planning and development, and then public safety, which was a sales tax vote cast here years ago that actually dedicates another half cent directly to the police and fire departments. And as I mentioned earlier, that tax raises about $17 million per year in the general fund. Construction activity, I would say generally we had a good commercial year. I think just some high visibility projects that were completed include the Longhorn Steakhouse on Higdon Ferry, the new Dunkin' Donuts on Central out by Kroger, the new pad side in front of Sam's Club, which will have a Panda Express, Slim Chickens, and a nail salon. We have numerous projects in town that have been announced: Oaklawn expansion, National Park Medical Center. There's a new Holiday Inn Express underway. There's a building permit ready to be picked up by Marriott Courtyard out behind Ruby Tuesdays. And we have a contract to purchase the Austin Hotel that's still in due diligence. So we have a lot of things going on commercially. Residentially, it's been relatively flat. I think most cities are experiencing that because of the 08 bank collapse and the absorption rate on used homes. But tied to that, though, Garland County, which includes Hot Springs, obviously, saw a 25% increase in homes sold in 2013. So as a precursor to new construction, I think that's a good sign. And we've also had some activity here in the planning department with some projects that are being proposed that will add some residential in the community. The hospitality tax, otherwise known as the A&P 3% tax, had a slight gain of about 1%. Through the year, it had actually done better than that, and that's one thing you have to take into consideration when you consider sales tax data or A&P data. It's always in arrears, so you got to take a running average usually of 3 months. Oaklawn Racing and Gaming, which the City of Hot Springs benefits directly from a breakage tax and indirectly from tourism-generated retail sales. The Oaklawn tax base, if you will, showed a 16% gain in 2013. And so that does benefit the general fund. You know, we've been asked many times, can we tax it more? The answer is no. The parimutuel legislation that was voted on by voters here in Arkansas limited what you can do. So there's only a couple of things we could do which wouldn't generate that much money. But I think the indirect benefit from Oaklawn and its impact on retail sales, we can see that when we have a big month or a big weekend like we had yesterday. Partnerships. One of the goals of the governing body is to partner. And that's one of the reasons I was hired here, was to help connect the dots between the logical partners of the city. And to that end, give you an example. It seems like a century ago, but you might remember last Christmas, 2012, going into 2013, we had a very severe ice storm, which is, all of you know who live here, that it tends to weight down the trees, break branches, knock down power lines, creates a lot of havoc. And this was an effort between the various city departments, police, fire, sanitation, streets, the county emergency management operation, FEMA at the federal level, the state emergency management. We were able to pick up tons of debris and hopefully restore our citizens' life back to reasonable normal in a fairly short amount of time. And that's one thing we do at the local level. We're right there with you. You don't have to call Little Rock or Washington. You know, we're going to be there to help you when we have a natural disaster or natural calamity like an ice storm. So that's partnerships. But even internal to the city, we have to have partnerships between departments. The next item we had, water supply. We've talked about water supply to the point where I dream about water supply. But we had a milestone in 2013 where the city of Hot Springs, after long, arduous process, was able to ink an agreement that was signed by this board with Central Arkansas Water, otherwise known as CAW, which is the former Little Rock, North Little Rock water departments. We were able to ink an agreement to purchase 20 million gallons per day from Lake DeGray, which was under a right of first refusal by CAW. That's why they even got into the picture. And that's been inked. Now we're both, CAW and Hot Springs, are working with the Corps of Engineers to actually enter into an agreement with the Corps of Engineers to actually transfer that water right to the city. And we are right now furiously working on transmission routes from Lake DeGray up to an area south of Lake Hamilton where our third plant would be located. And you'll be hearing a lot more about that as the year ensues. Last year we had a historic meeting in Vicksburg, which is the headquarters of the Corps of Engineers Vicksburg district. And you might see in the picture there's Mayor Carney, and
Have the same jacket on.
and there's I didn't mean to do that to you. And that's Colonel Eckstein in the middle, who at that time was the Corps colonel, since been moved to the division headquarters. And then to his, I guess it'd be your right, is Dale Kimbrough, who's one of the vice presidents up at Central Arkansas Water, and most importantly, president of the group we call the Mid-Arkansas Water Alliance. It's called MAWA. MAWA is a partnership between the cities of Hot Springs Village, Jacksonville, Little CAW, Cabot, some towns like that. And our purpose in that particular study, or that particular picture, was to sign an agreement with the Corps to perform a study of Lake Ouachita, which is currently underway. And the water supply goals of the city would be to secure a water supply from Lake Ouachita in addition to DeGray. Why? Because the amount of water in these Corps lakes is finite. We're not making any more water. We're not building any more dams. You've got to lock up a water supply for 100 years, at least, for your kids, or there's going to be a mad scramble like we're seeing in Texas, for example. And so that picture shows a lot of partners that participated in that historic agreement. They include Bobby Geiger from Oaklawn, Libby Vines from Bancorp South, General Arwood, retired two-star general, Richard Penn, who was our water utility director, Larry Stevens with Mid-South, Tracy Eddy, who was with, at that time, Congressman Bozeman's office. And so we really kind of went at that with a collaborative nature of getting these things done. It's the only way you can get them done is to work with partners. Okay, our next item are wastewater improvements. We don't think about wastewater. We think, once you take a shower, wash your clothes, flush the toilet, you don't have to worry about it. Well, we have to worry about it on your behalf. And so the city has had a mandate for about 5 years now that we have until 2018 to eliminate all overflows from these pump stations, of which there are many in Hot Springs due to the undulating terrain, and eliminate any I&I, which is penetration into our wastewater collection system from tree roots or broken pipes. And so we have good news to report, and I really want to compliment the governing body, our staff, our consultants. We're in year 5, and we've already had a 21% reduction in inflow and infiltration. I can tell you that's remarkable. We gave this report to the EPA Region 6 Enforcement Division in Dallas last summer, and they were amazed. So what good does that do all of us? Well, I think we're a community that thrives on clean air, clean water. This is a major part of clean water, and we have a responsibility to Lake Hamilton, Lake Catherine, Ouachita River, all the way to the Mississippi, and we're doing our part. Grinder monitoring, something you probably don't even think about until it doesn't work. And we have a lot of grinders in this city because of the enormous number of homes that were built on septic tanks back in the 60s and 70s that went from septic tank up to force main, which meant you had to push your wastewater upstream, grind it, and then send it back into the distribution system. We have 3,200 of these that we have to monitor, 3,200. And so my staff and our consultant came up with an innovative way to monitor from a remote location if we were having a grinder pump failure. And that particular project has won many awards nationally. It has even been recognized internationally for its innovation. And we have more grinder pumps than cities as big as Houston, believe it or not. So that's something that's part of that EPA mandate that we're getting done. And we shared all this it's a conference that EPA hosts in Austin that deals with how do you mitigate these wastewater issues. My staff and myself were invited for, I believe, at least the third consecutive year by EPA to make our program known to utilities from all over Texas, Arkansas, and several other states in EPA Region 6. We are seen as a model and used as a model for how you deal with this particular challenge. Here again, that whole wastewater issue is a conglomeration of private companies and public entities. We've used local, we've used national, we partner with ADEQ, which is a state agency. So, I mean, there's a lot of things have to happen for these kind of projects to become a reality. Excuse me. Thermal Basin Fire District, you probably heard a lot about that. It's very complicated at one level, but very simple at another. Our job is to provide life safety for residents, property owners in our downtown area, where we have a lot of buildings that are connected together without firewall separations. And so after a lot of work by our fire department and working with our Chamber of Commerce and property owners, we came up with a thermal basin fire district idea that the board embraced, where we're providing really a less expensive alternative to providing fire suppression than following the Uniform Building Code, which is very expensive. And so by substituting a sprinkler system into your building versus having to put in fire doors and fire-rated walls, it's really for property owners who want to preserve a safe structure, plus maybe even do some additional tenancy in the building. This is a cheaper alternative, and yet we think a more effective alternative. And so we're working with property owners right now, I see one of them out in the audience, to try to work on how can we do this in the next 2 years. This is an example where the city has already partnered. This is in front of Rolando's on Central. And in the case of Rolando's, the second floor that you can see in the picture was unoccupied. And the restaurant down below wanted to expand upstairs with a public use, a restaurant, speakeasy. That would have triggered the Uniform Building Code, which would have required a lot of improvements, very expensive. And so we worked with the building owners, it's a local architectural firm, and came up with a parallel water main that connects into the building and fuels a fire sprinkler system. And this has worked. And if you have a chance, whether you like Ecuadorian food or not, I would recommend you go in and take a look, because it's really quite novel what's happened there. City-county cooperation. You know, you get a lot of negative press on city-county cooperation that really doesn't paint an accurate picture. We do a lot of things with Garland County. We partner with Garland County on IT. We handle the information technology for the county. I see our very able animal control officer, Dan Bugg, who provides animal control services for the county via a contract. We have worked out agreements with the county on the jail. We have partnering with the county government on emergency management. We already talked about that. And so it's one of the goals of this board is to not only recognize city-county cooperation, but also to expand it, promote it, and dispel the myth that somehow we just fight all the time, because that's not really accurate. I think one of our JPs in the audience would attest to that. Finally, as a closer, because I'm getting the music like at the Oscar deal, I think we've had like I said, I think we've had a really good year. Some might even say a great year That sounds kind of self-congratulatory, but I think it shows what the organization and the community can do when they work together. Some of these are, they're examples, concrete examples, things that are happening now. The city partnered with the state on a major repaving project that will commence here as soon as we hit 40 degrees every day for a week. And that will be the paving of Golf Links, which is a major east-west arterial in a town that really doesn't have any except the bypass. That will be underway shortly. Also, because of the governing body's emphasis on road maintenance and pavement management, we were able to actually pave 9 miles of streets this year. And we hope to do at least that next year. Will that ever catch us up? Probably no. It's like painting your house. You can't just paint it once. You're going to have to paint it many times. Roads are no different. Employee awards banquet. We had gone several years without an employee awards banquet. And Minnie Lennox and other staff members hosted that employee awards banquet out at the Clarion, and had several board members attend. And I think it really shows that we're developing some camaraderie. You might think, well, you're a city organization. Doesn't everybody march to the same drummer? Well, no, because we're really like 8 or 9 different companies under one umbrella. And so, we're really putting an emphasis on teamwork, coordination, customer service. And to that end, we have a great teacher here in the city who has not been utilized like she should have been, and that's Minnie Lennox, our human resource director. Excellent teacher. She gave a class yesterday with the Garland County District Court. I received emails from, I call it her fan club, about the training she gave the county employees yesterday. And we're now taking that, instead of sending our employees off to, La Jolla to hear this, we can have our in-house human resource manager give this training. And that's a big emphasis of mine. It's a big emphasis of the boards. And we'll continue pushing that. Employee health fair. Any of you in business know that right now everybody's jumpy about health insurance and costs, and we had an internal health fair that I think was very well received. And so kind of closing this up, about a year and a half ago we tried downtown holiday lighting to mixed reviews, might be kind. This past year we did some more work downtown, partnering with the merchants and A&P. And this year, we're going to actually jointly purchase, merchants, A&P, and the city, about a 30-foot tree, something like that, Christmas tree or holiday tree, whatever you want to call it, up in front of the Arlington Hotel, which I think will really kind of bring back that holiday lighting that's so important to this town. As you know, one of the passions of the city is to take the Greenway to Lake Hamilton. We're inching our way down there. One of the main components of getting on that Greenway is a creek walk that we had a celebration this summer that gets you from Valley Street over to the trail. And that was a good day for Hot Springs. Finally, VoIP, what does that mean? That's voice over computer linkages between your phone and your computer system. And we were able to actually upgrade our phone system and save money at the same time. It's a pretty good deal. New city website. Couldn't be more happy with Jeff Fields and Terry Payne and for putting this together. I hope that you utilize it. We want to provide a portal where you can really do almost everything that you can do here physically, you can do online, so you don't have to come down here unless you just want to see us. And so, we got basically a grant from a web designer to do that. And could not have turned out better. And then finally, AAR. Who are they? AAR is the world's largest aircraft maintenance company in the world. Yes, they have an operation in Hot Springs. Their headquarters is in Indianapolis at the airport. They actually overhaul Delta Connection jets, and that is a highly mobile industry. They pay pretty well. We have about 250 employees of AAR that are here. We want to keep them here. Building big hangars, you can imagine the cost of trying to house a couple of jets, passenger jets, inside a building to be overhauled. It's very expensive. They came up with an idea. We pursued it. It's really kind of an inflatable building that can be disassembled, but it meets our code. It's sprinklered, and it provides a means where they can get a couple of more planes in their overhaul line so we can keep those jobs here in Hot Springs. Between AAR and Triumph, which is a major employer here in Hot Springs that deals with aircraft parts, we have almost 1,000 employees between two companies. So we're doing all we can to make sure they're happy. Our sanitation department, we do a lot of stuff in recycling. We have a great electronic waste recycling event. I'm on the West Central Planning District Solid Waste Management Regional Committee. We work with other counties, other cities in promoting our e-West recycling. We host it here at the Convention Center. Really recommend if you want to get rid of your laptops or printers, or just make sure you're aware of that particular event, because we will take that for you at no cost to you. And so also, this is just a pitch for the police department. We have an excellent Citizens Police Academy. I think everybody should go through it. I think you'd learn a lot about the police and how we all can help be the eyes and ears of the police department, work with our neighborhoods. And I would encourage citizens to apply. Hot Springs Police is really going to push the Neighborhood Watch program and the National Night Out program, and those are big. And I think we as a community can do much better than we have been at attending those events. Downtown Initiative, these are just a few 2014 highlights. One of the major goals of this board is to help assist in the redevelopment of downtown. The city has a role. It's not the end-all, be-all. You have to work with property owners. You have to work with utilities. You have to work with the banks. We can work with various federal loan guarantee programs, and that's what we're doing. We need to continue investing in infrastructure. Tonight we're going to talk about a reprogramming of our CDBG program, which is a federal program aimed at neighborhoods that are kind of on the brink. And, you're going to see a renewed emphasis on streets and sidewalks and water and wastewater, so we can provide those basic ingredients of rebuilding a city. And that's major initiative. Quality of life, I can tell you this board has a real interest in greenways and trails and its impact on water quality and recreation. And we have a great parks director who's all into this too. So I think you're going to see more and more emphasis on trails. You can combine stormwater management with flood protection, with water quality, all in the same program. And I think the Greenway is a good example. The Greenway provides flood protection, provides recreation, and ultimately provides water quality into Lake Hamilton. Because think of all the runoff we get on a rainy weekend. Where does all that stuff in your yard, the streets, where does it go? It goes into the creek. Mother Nature's the best filtering device we have, and that's why preserving those greenways is important to water quality. And finally, sustainability. The board's pushing recycling, being a healthier community, a smarter community, and we'll be instituting that effort internally this year in the creation of a sustainability coordinator. So, appreciate you letting me give you the highlights. It's fun when you get big things done, so it doesn't happen unless you've got a community willing to work together to see these things become a reality. And I think 2013 was a celebratory year for this city. Thank you.
Great, thank you.